Hey there everyone, here is the Marc and Sons GMT on the Jubilee bracelet. Now if you go ahead and you take a look at the Marc and Sons website, and we've covered a bunch of Marc and Sons watches here over the past few years, but if you go ahead and take a look at their website, you'll see that you can get this with the Jubilee bracelet. You can also get it with your standard oyster style bracelet. Now, I chose the Jubilee for obvious reasons. I chose it because this one is the Batman version, if you will, or the homage to the BLNR from Rolex, which is, of course, an extremely popular model, and just even selling used, they're going for $15,000 and $16,000 these days. Now, by no means do I think that somebody who is actually looking at the Rolex is going to be purchasing this Marc and Sons version. But obviously this is meant to homage that watch to, it's highly inspired by that piece. But this is for somebody that doesn't have the money, of course, for the Rolex. And I know there are people out there right now, of course, that are sitting in front of their TV screens and they're, oh my God, it's another homage, it's another Rolex homage. Well, here's the thing. I get that. I have my own triggers for every kind of product that there is out there in the world, just like you do. But obviously this video is not for you, and I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are a lot of people that are going to buy this watch, or a Squall, or the Devosa, or the Janot, or any other brand that, countless brand that does the Rolex style homages or Panerai homages or any other kind of homages that are out there, and we're just reviewing them for what they are. So I get that. So if this video makes you upset, I apologize, but you can always, I guess, click off. For those that are interested, I chose this specific one just because of the closeness to that Rolex in the terms of now it has the Jubilee style bracelet of the newer version of those Rolex GMTs. Now, this one, obviously, I'm not going to compare it to the Rolex. It's different. It's the same. And when I say the same, I mean the same in somewhat that overall style. But there's a lot of different here. I mean, we have, I guess on the outside appearance, you could say, okay, the bracelet is somewhat similar, being a Jubilee style bracelet. And then you have, the ceramic insert GMT black and blue bezel. Really, that's kind of where it stops. I mean, obviously, this is an ETA 2893 movement. You have different hour hand, different second hand. These are not applied markers, but rather this is a sandwich dial, which is unique in the sense of it's not something you normally see on this style of watch. I kind of like it, but on the other hand, I kind of miss the applied markers that usually go along with this watch. But again, it is unique to this style, and I guess they just wanted to try something different. The case sides are all brushed, whereas on most of the Rolex watches, it's going to be that high polish. They went and did, you have, just a little bit of the line of high polish on the sides there, your chamfer, but it is mostly brushed. Now, for somebody like me, I actually prefer the brushed finish. I don't know why. I love the look of a high polished finish, especially on the case sides and whatever. But after they get all scratched and dinged, there's just something about it that I just, I know you could polish them up and everything, but for me, it's just, I end up getting more aggravated with it over the long-term use. I'm going to say, overall, this is a very nice piece from Marc and Sons. Now, one of the things is I have a little trouble figuring out the price of this watch, because when you go to the website, it doesn't have that option. I've done it on my computer, my iPad, my iPhone. It doesn't have that option to switch to different currencies. And then it also doesn't seem when you go to the checkout to take out the VAT. So I was trying to figure it out. I think I have it figured out. It's around $800. I will have it updated. By the time you're already watching this video, it'll be updated on the screen there in the beginning of this video, of course, and at the full review at watchreport.com. which is not a bad price for this piece. And they have different versions. This is, of course, like I said, the Batman. You can get an all blue bezel. There's a black and orange. You have your Coke style, your Pepsi style. There's an all green and everything. So there's even bronze versions of this watch. Obviously, they don't come on bracelets, but there are bronze versions of this GMT as well. The other difference really is, I guess this is, and again, I don't really want to compare this to the Rolex. I think that in that sense, to compare an $800 watch that looks like it, that's mimicking it, to the actual piece is kind of ludicrous. But this is 41 millimeters in size versus that standard 40 millimeter Rolex sport watch. This also has the bezel. If you've ever actually seen the Rolex, you know that the GMT bezels are not lumed at all, including the lume triangle or lume pip. Now on this one, they chose to, as most micro brands do, everything is lumed on here. Obviously, this is not a watch that you wouldn't really use for diving. You're gonna set another time zone with this, of course. Now you have your GMT hand. Of course, when you pull out the crown, speaking of pulling out the crown, a little difficult for me to pull out the crown. Is just, there's not a lot of grip on the crown, and it's just a little bit small, just in my opinion and for my use. But when you pull out the crown, of course, you pull it to the first click to set the date, and you set the date one way, and then you can adjust the GMT hand another way, and then when you pull the crown all the ways out, you could set your hour and minute hand. The Jubilee bracelet I like overall. It's 22 millimeters. It tapers down to 18. You do have that micro brand ratcheting extension clasp. We've seen this on countless watches over the past 10 years. It is in place here. It does make this feel a little bit clunky. The watch feels a little bit clunky in my opinion, or I guess maybe the bracelet makes it feel a little bit clunky because it does go at 22 millimeter at the lugs and it does taper down to 18 millimeters, but then that clasp jets back out to like 20 millimeters. So, but you do have that nice use of the extension and everything like that. The only knock that I'm going to give the bracelet is very nice. It's brushed on the sides as well. You have that high polish going down the middle. The sides of the bracelet are brushed. Very easy to size using a screwdriver. No issues there. Just that it doesn't have, it has the fake, how do I want to say it, the fake links in the end link. So instead of actually having those nice little articulated lugs in the end piece there where it's actually cut out, you know, it comes off as cheap. And I know this is $800 watch, but it does come off a little bit cheap. Another thing I forgot to mention is that you can get this like you see here without the date magnifier, without the Cyclops on the dial, or you can order it with the Cyclops on the dial. And the Cyclops added onto it is going to be an extra charge. But I do like the fact at least that they give you the option to not have it. I'm somebody who would always choose not to have that on the watch. I just hate a Cyclops on a watch. I know some people love it. It's easier to read the date, everything else, especially if you have bad eyesight or whatever. I'm just not somebody who likes that, so I'm glad that they offer that option. Lume is absolutely fantastic. You can see that here. And you know, as I said, the bezel is all lumed as well. So if you are tracking another time zone and you're in the dark, you're going to be able to see exactly where that GMT hand is pointing to and be able to see it in the dark, which is, I guess, a nice feature. And overall, the watch is just very nicely put together, with the exception of those end links. I mean, the crown is very nice. As I said, for me, it's a little bit hard to pull out, but once it's out, no issues with it, no issues screwing it back down. The bezel is very fluid and doesn't have a loud ratchet to it at all. As a matter of fact, there's almost no sound to the bezel at all whatsoever. And it is a very solid bezel. It clicks it goes into place very nicely. There is no back play at all whatsoever. Easy to grip, everything else. On the wrist, I removed about 5 links for this to fit my 7.5-inch wrist. It fits exactly really the way you would think it's going to. It's a 41 millimeter Rolex inspired piece. and it's going to fit as all of those other pieces do. I really do like, I know some people don't like the Jubilee bracelet, even on the actual Rolex. It's almost like 50-50 that, they just prefer the oyster style. Some people like the new Jubilee bracelet. I personally do like it. I have no problem with the looks of it, and I also do like the comfort factor. So again, in no ways, shape, or form am I comparing this $800 piece to a, $12,000, $15,000, $16,000 Rolex piece. They're worlds apart, and the same buyer is not going to be looking at this that's looking at that Rolex. But if you're somebody that just can never afford, will never afford, or just don't want to kind of spend that kind of money on a watch, this is another and a slew of options that are available out there from many different brands. I got to say, I'll give credit here to Marc and Sons for, they didn't use the Mercedes hand. They went with a different style handset. They also went and, even though I may prefer the applied markers over the sandwich style, I like that they went sandwich style because it is a little bit different. So they tried not to make it exactly the same as everybody else usually does out there with this style of watch. So now if you want to see more, all the links are going to be down in the description below. You can take it over to my full review at watchreport.com. That'll be coming soon. Of course, links to Marc and Sons, links to our social media and everything like that. It is at Watch Report. You can find us on all the social media channels. If you like this video, and I hope you did, and you want to see more of these, go ahead and hit subscribe if you're already not. That way you never miss any of our content or uploads. Leave a like or a comment down below. We always appreciate what you have to say. Just as always, please be respectful. And if you want to see more videos, I'll leave a couple at the end of this one. Check out some of our recent uploads and browse the channel if you will. So I hope you like a look at this Marc and Sons GMT Batman or BLNR style on the Jubilee bracelet. Thanks for watching. Talk to you in the next one.